with Gina.
The news with Gina Grad.
Sorry, quick piece of unfinished business that I thought. I smile when I hear these kind of stories. So I was talking to my friend Kevin Hench, who writes all those TV shows. I think it was on a Thursday evening, and he was kind of telling me, this cancel culture, it's not healthy. It's too many people being canceled, and he said there was a story of a guy who was a writer, and he worked on those Dick Wolf cop shows, Chicago this or whatever that, and he posted a picture of himself like holding a rifle standing on his front lawn or in front of his house. I never saw it. I don't need to see it, but saying like, hey, looters, back off or come get some or something like that, like basically saying, you come to this house, looters, right. You got a dude with a gun. And then Dick Wolf, who was his boss, saw the picture and just fired him. And, Hench is like, I'm not a gun guy, and I'm not a NRA guy, but this guy should be able to take a picture of himself and not get fired. And then also, I don't know, what's the message? The message is don't loot my house. I have a gun. I'm also fine with that. But he's like, it's gone a little too far. And this guy, Dick Wolf, big time producer, he fired the guy, and he probably shouldn't have fired him. And the next day, I woke up and there was an op-ed in the Washington Post?
Yeah.
What was it? What was that op-ed?
So this came out June 4th by Alyssa Rosenberg. It's titled, Shut Down All Police Movies and TV Shows.
Oh, fuck.
Now. And the first paragraph is, like many other industries, entertainment companies have issued statements of support for the protests against racism and police brutality now filling America's streets. But there's something Hollywood can do to put its money where its social media posts are. Immediately halt production on cop shows and movies and rethink the stories it tells about policing in America. And then the part about Dick Wolf is a little deeper into it. There's no question that it would be costly for networks and studios to walk away from the police genre entirely. Canceling Dick Wolf's Chicago franchise of shows would wipe out an entire night.
All right. Yeah, we got it. But the point is that night, Hench was going, I don't think Dick Wolf should have fired that guy. Right. I don't like this cancel culture. The next morning I wake up, they're calling for Dick Wolf to be fired. And there's a part of me that goes, good, get Dick Wolf's shows fired. Get him fired. He fired the other guy. Fucking fire him then.
Yeah, it's the Far Side cartoon with one fish that's always bigger eating the other fish.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's always someone coming for you.
We'll cancel all cop shows, and anything that's currently in production will shut down. Thank you. Problem solved. Moving forward. Mm-hmm.
And ironically, you're not hurting any cops. You're hurting a bunch of actors.
There's hundreds of unemployed people who work on those shows behind the scenes and everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
Well, getting into some news, former President George W. Bush and Senator Mitt Romney will not support President Trump's reelection. That's according to the New York Times. Several Republican leaders are struggling with whether to endorse the sitting president, his reelection, go with Biden, who I would imagine they've all known for, 5 decades. Meanwhile, same goes with Colin Powell, former Secretary of State under W. He said Sunday morning that President Donald Trump has drifted away from the Constitution and that he'll be voting for Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential election.
All of these things should end with, and I'd like to get laid in 2021. I'd like to get the occasional sporadic blowjob in the next 4 years after the election.
My wife won't talk to me.
Right.
That's quite all right with you.
Yes. So if you're fine, yeah.
Yeah. And wouldn't you just imagine? I mean, I did no research into this, didn't even Google it. But you think Biden, W, Romney, these guys are the old guard. They've been around for decades. Right. They have to be friends. I mean, it's not like, clutch the pearls. They're on two different sides of the aisle. Like, are they? They're all kind of moderate, old, whatever.
Biden
old DC.
Yeah. Romney is very moderate. He's not a fan of Trump already.
Oh, no.
And Biden, you have to know Biden. These guys had to go to the same places and have cocktails. I mean,
same prep school.
Yeah. And I don't now, and there probably formally wasn't much of a difference between Biden and a guy like Romney politically. if you would have got a hold of both those guys 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, I don't know that you could discern that big a difference. But everyone's getting pulled to one side or the other, so you're starting to see differences. But fundamentally, the same, older, rich, white guys feel the same way. Yes, Brian.
I saw this. I'm going to ask you guys a question because I saw this. I saw this trending. This hit the news today, and then people occasionally make jokes about, hey, Mark Burnett. I know there's tapes of Trump saying the N-word on The Apprentice. Release the tapes, semi-jokingly, but also semi-serious. And I'm thinking, like, none of this will sway his base. What would it take either for Trump to do or happen to Trump to, like, literally sway, like, because Trump supporters are kind of ride or die. You know what I mean? Like, that's their guy, and it's not going to take fucking George W. Bush to change their mind.
No, I don't know if there's anything in the scandal department that could sway the base.
I agree.
The base, because here's how the base works. The base on both sides sort of has I don't care what foibles this person has, he's going to save the country. So it doesn't matter how many skeletons are in his closet. Then the Biden base is like, we don't even care if Biden can string a sentence together. He has to stop this guy from destroying the country. So when you kind of raise the stakes, you know what I mean? Then when it becomes an airline pilot and you've lost all control, you've lost all hydraulics on the plane, and then someone's go, this pilot's a bad guy. Have you talked to his stepson? And he's like, I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
I just want to land this fucking plane and get out in one piece. I know, but he's a bad dude. Have you taken a look at some of his tweets for before the flight? And it's like,
he banged a porn star.
Right. So both sides are like, if this plane hits that mountain, we're all dead. And that's where we're going. And each side has a feeling like, if Biden gets hold of this thing, we're going to hit that mountain. And if Trump keeps hold of this thing, we're going to hit that mountain. With that, it's so when we're at our cruising altitude and they've turned off the seatbelt sign, that's time for discussion about the pilot. You know what I mean?
Have a cocktail.
Yeah.
Right. We're
split hairs.
We've created a narrative on either side, which is, if that guy gets into the captain's seat, we're going to hit the side of that canyon wall and we're going up in a ball of flames. With that in mind, we don't care what they did with their secretary or what they did with their hooker or what they did, had a Russian hooker pee on them or whatever, N-bombs. There's no scandal that can do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe
when we're in crisis.
Maybe there would have to be something that actually, it would probably be not fulfilling, or, like, he said he was going to build the wall and protect the border. Turns out he's funneling money to the narcos over there, whatever, something of that nature. I don't know if it could, which would be a scandal, but not a scandal.
Right. I know what you're saying, not in the traditional sense.
Right.
Well, and you're caught on camera.
I can't remember if it was Ann Coulter or Laura Ingraham, but one of them, not too long ago, was kind of, down on Trump, and I think it was Ann Coulter. Yeah, because he basically didn't fulfill the promises of going far enough. So to your point, that could have something to do with it.
Well, that would work, but then if the guy who takes his place goes half as far as the person that's not going far enough, if you're Ann Coulter, then where are you?
Right. Yeah. The only other thing I can think of, because I think, this might sound naive, I don't know, but just kind of being in sort of the world of both kind of all the time, I think both sides consider themselves to be, they love this country, whether they want to completely, remodify it or keep it the way it is, smooth sailing. Nobody wants to be accused of being treasonous. And if there was some serious, hard-clad, solid evidence of treason, of actual Putin, whatever, I think, someone super conservative or somebody who loves Trump, wouldn't they stop and go, how could you do that to our country? Because everybody loves this country, right?
Yeah, I think the problem is, if you couch it as each one is going to destroy the country, then you will look the way at almost anything, because we have built a case that the other side is going to ruin the country we love so much. So it's like, oh, I love this country and I hate treason, but the treasonous guy's going to save the country, so he's getting my vote. That's the problem.
Got it.
All right. What else?
So we are in phase 3.25, maybe here in Los Angeles with the
Level
quarantine.
orange. Who knows?
Very hard to tell, but congratulations, New York. They will become the final region to start phase 1 in their city. That's going to start on July 8th for their multi-step coronavirus recovery plan.
They're still on total lockdown?
Well, I mean, to my knowledge, they don't have restaurants or anything like that open. I think, when it comes to carry out and that kind of thing, like where we were 3 weeks ago, say. Mayor de Blasio, and theirs is called New York on Pause, which is what they're still dealing with. That shut down, schools and all non-essential businesses. And we're kind of a little bit ahead of that now. De Blasio also determined that the city must see 3 thresholds for the city's key coronavirus metrics. That's daily hospitalizations, ICU bed capacity, and percentage of positive coronavirus tests. The number of hospitalizations must stay below 200 per day. The city must have 375 available ICU beds, and the positive testing rate must stay below 15%.
There's a problem here. Like, we get mired in when are we going to have a vaccine? What about a second wave? How much testing? What does testing mean? Well, it just means more positive people. What if you were negative on Monday, but then positive on Tuesday, but you got tested on Monday? All I see is hordes of people on the street shouting at each other and marching peacefully and marching unpeacefully and looting unpeacefully, and just so many pictures of exactly what they said was not going to happen. Like, we just can't do this. Whatever concerts you're talking about, you want to talk about Burning Man or whatever outdoor concert or whatever series or whatever ball game or whatever, that's all gone. It's all gone. Because that's the worst we could do, is put a whole bunch of people together. And I'm looking at pictures from Washington, from New York, from L.A., and I'm seeing masses of humanity just packed into the same area. And we're now at pretty much the 2-week mark. If I don't start hearing something right now, I'm not listening to whatever else they were discussing, because I'm seeing all of us do many of the things they said we shouldn't do. And I'm not hearing anything about hospitals being overrun. And I get the shutdown for the hospitals not being overrun. When someone goes, why do we need to lock down? Well, because if we all went out and we all got infected at the same time and we all went to the hospital, then the hospital would be overwhelmed. And I go, okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. But if the hospitals aren't overwhelmed now from something that kicks in, 3 to 7 days after exposure, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more. I have not heard. I've watched the news and I've heard a lot of concerns about this, but I've not seen anything. Have you guys heard any stories about hospitals being overwhelmed?
No. Not yet.
No, not from that.
I mean, not at all. Not at this point.
I think we're done. And
it's funny because
I haven't heard anything about the next wave either. That was a hot one. I've not heard anything about the next wave coming back either. But anyway.
And like you said, to your point about you can kiss sporting events and concerts goodbye, it's like we're living in a parallel universe at the same time. Like, no, those are a thing of the past. That's never going to happen again. And meanwhile, we are in aggressive phase 4 when it comes to outdoor gatherings. So it is like we're living in this dual universe simultaneously.
I had heard whisperings that the Laguna Seca historic race was going to be canceled.
What?
I was like, all right, that race is in the middle of August and it's outdoor. People are all in the infield of the track. Think about where we are now. Middle of August. Is anybody going to be doing any of this anymore? I mean, it's over. It's just done. We're moving on. I literally wrote the guy back and I was like, I said, it's over. It's already over. By the time we get to middle of August, we won't even remember what we're doing or talking about. And I finished
like Jack Nicholson in the Cuckoo's Nest. You're like, come on, raise your hand. Who wants to watch the World Series? Come on.
I was going nuts. All I could do at the end is go, you canceling this race is un-American. I've never said that in my life. I just went, it's un-American.
Throw down the gauntlet.
It's un-American. It's a bunch of guys who want to race and by the way, who have a relationship with danger. They've decided they want to engage in this semi-dangerous event, and we're dying to. And it's 2 months. It's all outdoors. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
It does feel psychologically, once we get past 4th of July, that's on a weekend. That's going to be a lot of people outdoors. A lot of people want to get together. A lot of people going to the beach. A lot of people going to barbecues. It feels like a psychological hump, I guess. And I don't mean like an insurmountable one. I just mean like on the other side of it, it's going to be, like Adam said, Laguna Secas of the world.
Yes. Middle of August. All right. What else, Gina Graham?
Well, a couple of big headlines in the past 48 hours. So I'm sure you've seen the video. We have it if you want to see it. But the 2 Buffalo officers, the officers in Buffalo, New York, who were suspended without pay after a video showed police shoving this 75-year-old man to the ground at a George Floyd protest Thursday night. They've been charged with second-degree assault. And are you guys familiar with the story? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I had a big argument with Geragos about it.
Well, Geragos, I don't know if you saw his tweet. I have that. And so that's an interesting point he brings up. So this guy, apparently, the guy they shoved right back on his head. And he's bleeding and everybody kind of walks away from him. He's an activist, and you can't tell what the words were that were exchanged. He does seem to be holding one of their helmets. Did you guys notice he's holding something in his hand? It looks like he's holding a camera sideways. I was wondering if he's trying to take pictures of badge numbers or something with his camera when he got shoved.
Couldn't tell.
Very hard to tell. But Officer Robert McCabe, who's 32, and Officer Aaron Torgalski, who's 39, pleaded not guilty to those charges, which is a felony. And will be released on their own recognizance. They're both scheduled to return to court on July 20th. Meanwhile, I don't know if you also saw, 57 members of the Buffalo Police Department's emergency response team all up and resigned over this.
Yeah,
because they seem pretty pissed that their brother in arms was.
Look, we're in a weird place. Last week we were talking about there's a couple of patrol cruisers driving through Manhattan, and a crowd gets around them and starts mashing a barrier into the thing, and they lurch forward and knock the people down, and people are jumping on the hood, and everyone's like, do you see these out of control cops? I'm sorry, when you come at a cop, eventually something's going to happen. They have guns. They have weapons on them. They need a distance between you and them. This guy, I hate that 75-year-old guy, by the way. I don't know why. I just looked at him and I could never have a beer with that guy. I hate him. The cops are going one direction. He comes at the cops. Number one, call me old-fashioned. These guys are agitated 26-year-old dudes with weapons. Don't go at them. And then his right hand was fiddling around down low. I don't know what his right hand was doing.
That's why I thought we roll the video again. I think it's a phone in his hand, and I assumed
that's what Geragos thought. I think it's a phone in his hand too, but cops have guns, and you can't fiddle around with their shit. I don't know what he's doing. And the guy pushed him, and he pushed him too hard. That's true. He was trying to create something, or separation where he pushed him too hard. Also, if that guy was 36, he wouldn't have hit the ground. He was old and feeble and went down. What I'm saying is whether it's you being in front of a cop car, because the beef with the cops in the cop car was, well, the cops couldn't be surrounded by angry protesters and have their car set on fire, but they did too much. They went too far. They went too much. And it's you got a super scared guy with his foot on the accelerator and his partner probably yelling, go, 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 or something like that. Shit's going to happen. When you go running at a cop, everyone's agitated, and you go fiddling around, you're going to get pushed probably harder than he should push you. I don't know how we regulate it. I don't know how we do it. I'm saying don't run up, don't go up to the cops. Just give them some space. Back off.
Somebody in that group needs their helmet, according to Garagos. Throw up that tweet, please, because I didn't notice either until it was pointed out on Twitter. Can you put that up? Thank you. Garagos put, meanwhile, it appears the 75-year-old victim was returning one of their helmets. Was he? Who knows? But he is carrying it toward them. If
he has Halloween candy in that helmet and he's returning it to him, he may have their helmet, but I don't know if he's returning it to him because it doesn't seem like that's what he's doing. Look, if he's returning their helmet, then I apologize.
Well,
yes.
So there's another video that's going around today where he's caught on another person's live stream from Instagram. Kaylin will put it up, but you could see him and he's holding the helmet and kind of talking to other people, and he's riling up this group of people that's coming at him. And
let's see.
So Kaylin will play it. And so if you're looking, so he's the one with he's kind of leaning on that ball, and everybody's yelling at him. And then Kaylin, when you share audio for the last part, because there's this guy's interviewing him, like, hey, what's that guy saying to you? And the guy is talking to the guy with the camera and saying, that guy's just trying to cause trouble. He's looking to get punched in the face.
Oh, the 75-year-old?
Yeah, he's talking about the old guy.
Told you he was a dick.
Fucking fun about this shit. I don't see no fucking grill. I
was just crying. That shit is, yeah.
Fun about this shit.
Nah.
And I think he's looking to get punched in the face.
By the cops or by him?
I don't know. But look, he walked at the cops with purpose, and he's a 75-year-old guy, and the cops are marching one direction, and you're going the other direction. There's a chance you could end up on your fanny. Look, the cop pushed him too hard, but at a certain point, everyone, if you're going to jump on the hood of a cop car or you're going to walk at them with purpose while they're coming the other way, you could get pushed. That's out there.
Yeah, but the only reason that's even ever been put in my mind is because you've talked about it, which is, and I know this is not a one-to-one comparison, of course, but one could be charged with attempted murder if you clock someone and they hit the pavement.
Oh yeah.
So this guy got pushed so hard he cracked his head open, and he's
so fucking old that when he was pushed moderately hard, he fell over. Well, that wouldn't have knocked us over. Wouldn't have knocked anybody we know over.
Possibly me, but I know what you're saying. The part that the reason we give these guys badges and guns and the authority to do this is because we trust their risk assessment skills, right? Like, and this guy didn't seem, aside from being, charging at them, but he's an old man. Like, I don't know.
I know, but I agree. But you said they have guns. They don't. Mm-hmm. You don't want lethal force, or we don't. Sure. We don't want a gun coming out in that environment, or pepper spray or taser. He got pushed, which is not normally lethal force. It's distance. Right. And again, the guy's hand was fiddling around the guy's waist. I don't know what that means exactly, but cops are super particular about your hands around where their guns are, if they in fact had guns during that. So, and by the way, I'm sure the old man was being a douche and the guy went fuck off or something, like pushed him. I get it. What I'm saying is you have 26-year-old dudes who are the dumber dudes from your high school football team. I think we're expecting too much of them. It's not fucking Carl Sagan. These are just dumb dudes that have guns and shit. We want more from them. But what I'm saying is don't expect it. If they're agitated, don't go marching at them. If by the way, you're compromised, like you're a 75-year-old guy who would lose his balance if somebody pushed you, don't march at a group that is going the other direction. You may get pushed, you may end up on your ass, and you may smack your head.
Yeah. And I have a new theory, and if the old guy's attorney would like to use this, it's free of charge. You can have it.
Listen up, Garagos.
My new theory is that this guy had his phone out and had one of their helmets and was returning it to them to make one of those videos that he was hoping was going to go viral about, old activist returns helmet and everybody embraces in a warm hug.
Like Kendall Jenner giving that cop a Pepsi.
Yes, exactly.
See how it ends up. No, Garagos was pissed that he got pushed down, and then he was pissed that the cop who pushed him down was like trying to help him, and they got moved along. But I was like, but the guy trying to help him, and by the way, Garagos and I have disagreements all the time, and he's fine with it. I'm fine with it. The guy who was trying to help him, first things first, he's not a paramedic. Like, the other guy called it in, like, but he was like, keep moving. Like, you go ahead and do what you're doing, and I'll call something in. The one guy reached for his radio or whatever it is. So I don't know whether he tried to help him and his supervisor went, move it along. I don't know what he could have done for him, that guy. But the other guy got on the mic, or looked like he grabbed his radio right after he told the other guy to move it along. So,
well, in the world where everything is optics, boy, was that bad optics. That like a 1-2 punch of the shove and the everybody just stepping over him just is bad optics.
Well, if you watch it, the one guy tried, and the supervisor went, "No, move," and then he called something in, or he got on his squawk box. So anyway,
but there was so many.
Guy. I know.
Well, the first thing I thought of when I saw this video was, I wonder if Adam's going to compare the doctor from The Flight.
So he reaches for his radio up on his left whatever thing. And I don't know what the fuck he's doing, if he's calling something in or whatever it is. But anyway, look, it's bad optics, but I still, just the cops, they're human beings. They're all fucking stressed out of their mind. There's a couple bad ones, mostly good ones. Just try to de-escalate a little. That's all.
Well, on that note, because this is all just big sort of headline news from the weekend, 9 members of the Minneapolis City Council announced their support for disbanding the Minneapolis Police Department at a rally Sunday afternoon in Powderhorn Park. They said they would divert those funds towards a community.
Powderhorn Park sounds really aggressive, because Daniel Boone would keep his powder for his musket.
Oh, that's right.
And a horn. That's black. Oh, by the way,
no, we can't do that.
Black powder matters. The point is that's for shooting people. It's problematic. We got to rename the park.
It goes without saying we're renaming the park.
It goes without
They're
saying.
Definitely renaming the park. So they said they would divert those funds toward a community-based public safety model. The 9 council members make up a veto-proof supermajority of the council, which currently has 12 members. And Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey made an impromptu announcement to a crowd of protesters on Saturday that he did not support the the ending and defunding of Minneapolis police. I actually have that clip, and it puts him in a tough spot. So basically, the mayor's 38, by the way. He kind of looks like a Trudeau type guy.
He looks like the young son. He basically looks like the young son from Modern Family. He looks he looks like that actor. He looks like a 22-year-old dude. I can't believe that guy's the mayor. But anyway, he's the mayor,
and so he's basically in the front row of this Black Lives Matter rally, and everyone's kind of the lip service both ways. And yes, it's great, and this mayor seems to really have the backing of the people, or let's say he did, until you see this clip. And a woman, I'll just set it up because it was a great opening, but then it took a minute to ramp up. So basically, this organizer who's on stage goes, everybody stop, stop with the platitudes and the civil conversation, whatever you're doing. I have one yes or no question for you. I just want a yes or no answer. Will you defund the Minneapolis police? And I'm paraphrasing. She goes, I want a yes or no. So this is where that goes.
I know we hear this because if y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. If y'all don't know, he's up for re-election next year. And if he says no, guess what the fuck we gonna do next year?
Hold on a second. Hold on. We got a Rachel Dolezal type situation going on here.
I was going to say.
Is that a sister? That ain't Precious up there. That chick looks like one of my mom's friends when I was growing up. So I don't know. We'll have to look in that ethnicity. But either way, she wants answers, and he's going to give his answer. Here we go.
What you say? One more time.
I do not support the phone abolition.
I do not support
Get the fuck out of here.
Then he has to do that shame through the crowd of everyone booing him and the whole vibe.
All right. Well, let's put all the angry chicks in charge and see this whole shithole. This whole shit house is going to burn down in 10 minutes. Put that fucking bitch in charge. All right.
To be fair, men have been in charge for most of humanity, and look.
That's why we're number one, baby.
Yeah.
That's why back to back World War champs.
Champs.
All right. All right. Abolish the police. Look. Whatever unintended circumstances, everybody, unintended circumstances. I'm a never-ending fucking broken record of unintended consequences. Get rid of the police. That'll be fine for Rich Whitey in a double-gated community, and they'll start getting their own security, and they'll fucking start driving specially outfitted armored vehicles and shit. I mean, it's already on with some of the Hollywood guys and, bulletproof glass and shit. But Rich Whitey will take care of themselves. Underfund the police, the inner city young black kids. That's where the body count is going to start adding up. So the unintended consequences, be careful for what you ask for.
And that's happening in LA too, because Mayor Garcetti announced a few days ago that he's diverting funds from the LAPD that are going to go basically to community outreach, and it's a lot of money. It's like $150 million.
Oh, do you think there's any chance I could get up at a Garcetti press conference and then he'd go, I'm going to take someone, and I go, get the fuck out of here, dude. Get out. Get the fuck out. And he's like, now? I told you.
Yeah, it's just slinks away.
Hit the bricks, bitch. And he goes, sorry. What about the gray-haired nut job who's giving us the reports about staying off? To take that bitch with you. Adios. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Yeah. Well, look, I know it all.
Give it a go.
Sounds awesome. Community policing. We'll see how that works out. I would suggest we start modifying some of our training for the cops we do have.
I was going to say, like, if anything, shouldn't we be funding the police more for reform and better training? And like, there's steps need to be taken, which are going to cost money, but they'll pay off in the long run.
It's a good point.
It seemed to me.
There's a restraint called the carotid restraint, I believe, that basically it sounds like everybody's doing away with, and that's basically the chokehold. Yeah. That was the other big one in the news. No more choking people out. It's not WWF.
There's a few good ones to do, but just screaming at guys to pull the plug and then shouting at them. And by the way, hey, remember we're going to have an honest dialogue? I
do.
That didn't sound like an honest dialogue to me. That sounded like an angry mob. And it sounded like a guy who I'm sure he's a progressive guy. And, if you listen to how he stated it in this sort of measured way. If you could hear what he said, he said he's not. We can play it again.
In support of
the full defund or something like
that.
That.
He sort of measured it. He said, not the full, you know what I mean? And they went, get the fuck out of here. So I don't know if that's a constructive, honest dialogue, or at least he's speaking his truth, bitch. Like, you asked him a fucking question. He gave you the answer, his answer. Why does he have to be shouted out of the rally? We'll hear it one more time.
I do not support full abolition.
Full abolition, right. The full abolition, right.
And talk about unintended consequences. You vote him out, who's clearly wants to be a massive friend of the community and a hero of Minneapolis. You vote him out, you don't know who you're going to get in there.
That's the devil you know. You don't want to roll the dice on that.
Well, let me hear the end where they tell him to get the fuck out of here. I like that part.
Not like that.
We'll find it. I love it when I like it when Dick Wolf fires a guy and then the next day there's an op-ed piece saying he needs to be put down. I like it when a guy is trying to be measured and he's on their side and their side. I love it when everyone eats their own. That's my favorite part of this whole thing. Here we go.
I do not support full abolition.
All right, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out. She said to the mayor, get the fuck out of here. He's
wearing an I can't breathe face covering.
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
He's at their protest.
No keys to the city for her. Tell you that right now. Really, you know what I learned the most listening to this video is somebody needs to step up and get a decent generator. That fucking Ryobi thing that was buzzing away in the background. You can hear that thing buzzing away. You step up and get a nice Honda.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot quieter, and then we could hear her yell, "Get the fuck out of here," versus the hum of the generator, the air compressor was buzzing away in the back. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
That was the news with Gina Grad.